The Adirondacks is my favorite. The fact that it's sort of more protected than a lot of areas in New York means it's a lot more like wildernessy feeling. It's one of the few places I think that I you can go still and like climb to the top of a mountain and look out and not see houses and towns in some areas, and I just love that.
I would have to say though, the Adirondacks, I love the wildness of the Adirondacks. Like, and that's what really like the I love the Finger Lakes. If you want waterfalls, like the Finger Lakes are the place to be. But I love the wildness of the Adirondacks. Still some of like really amazing waterfalls, but you can hike the highest peaks. You can hike some really awesome low peaks. You can see all these lakes. You can do flat trails that are beautiful. So it really is the Adirondacks.
Welcome. This is Lauren Stites, and you are listening to Her Side of the Trail. Today, I have a very special double episode featuring two of my favorite New York State hikers, Elisabeth Celso and Alysha Weisner. They both share about their favorite area to hike in the state, the best time to visit the state, and also some hidden gem trails. So let's get into it. Hello, Elisabeth. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm so excited to talk to you about hiking in New York State. Did you hike a lot as a kid, or did you start getting into hiking as an adult?
So as a kid, I did more like I grew up in the country, so there were orchards and farmland around our house. So we'd go out there with like our dogs and do some exploring, but I don't remember doing a lot of hiking. I think once in a while we go to one of the New York State parks. I remember going to Watkins Glen when I was, I think like 9 or 10, and I was so amazed.
I was
I
gonna say
couldn't
that
believe,
makes an impression.
yeah. I was like, oh, it's so amazing, but I don't even know if we ever went back when I was a kid. So in my late 20s, I think it was through Instagram, really. I started seeing all these really cool places, and I'm like, these are in New York. I didn't even know about all of these. So I think like social media has made things so much more accessible because people just didn't know before.
Definitely. I definitely agree with that. Yeah, you
Yeah.
learn so many hidden gems that you're like, I had no idea that was in New York.
It has its positives and its negatives because it leads to sometimes overutilization of certain attractions, including Watkins Glen.
Yes.
But it's also great that more people are getting to experience the outdoors.
Where in the state are you?
I'm in the Rochester area.
Okay. All right. That's a great area. I love the off topic, but the Genesee Valley Museum there. I think that the Living
Oh, the
History
Country
Museum.
Museum?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
is really nice.
Yeah, that's another thing I grew up going to that I still get to once in a while.
I love that there. Sorry. So back onto topic. So what is your favorite region in New York then to hike? Are you a fan of Hello Kitty?
Yes,
Hello.
this is Emma. She does not hike, but she does like to interrupt calls.
That's fine. That's fine. We're animal lovers here. That's okay. So what's your favorite area in New York to hike?
The Adirondacks is my favorite. I love that I think I mean, part of the attraction is it's so big, so there's a lot of trails and a lot of variety, and the fact that it's sort of more protected than a lot of areas in New York means it's a lot more like wildernessy feeling.
Hmm.
There's still the towns and development, but it's just such a big park, and it's one of the few places I think that I you can go still and like climb to the top of a mountain and look out and not see houses and towns in some areas, and I just love that about it.
That's pretty incredible. That is incredible. That's rare for sure.
It's such a big area. It's like bigger than if you put together like a bunch of national parks. It's just got a lot of different topography and areas to explore. But my favorite area is the High Peaks region. The High Peaks area is where they have the 46 High Peak Challenge. I've only done 10, so I have no bragging rights here, but
Well, it's worthy of bragging that you've done 10, but definitely.
yeah, I'd love to do all of them. It is from the Rochester area. It generally takes me like I think it's like 5 hours, so it's not super accessible for us.
I have not been up to the Adirondacks. It's one area that I would love to explore. I just haven't had a chance to get up there yet. Now, do you have a favorite trail there, like one that you would recommend to
I
anybody?
think some of the more accessible ones that people who maybe don't have as much hiking experience or are not looking for something super challenging, like Rooster Comb's a good one. Mount Joe is a good one. My favorites that I've done so far are Mount Colden and the it's like three you can do at once. It's Iroquois, Algonquin, and Wright. And those are my two favorite hikes so far, but those are more extensive,
They're
15 to
longer.
20 mile.
Yeah.
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 and more elevation gain. So it's something that obviously you want to make sure you're prepared for, planned for, and have the experience to do, because as much as people are like, oh, well, the Adirondacks are just like little hills, but they still end up with a lot of people that need rescuing and a lot of things that happen because people underestimate the challenges.
There's still decent elevation up there,
Yeah.
and the difference between the trailhead and when you're at the top can be definitely different, the weather and everything, so you just don't know what
Yeah.
you're getting into.
Mhm.
We talked about Watkins Glen, and a lot of people, know about Watkins Glen. We made the mistake of visiting a few years ago over July 4th weekend, and it
Oh,
was packed, packed. At one
yeah.
point, we walked in kind of like into the center of the trail, and we looked down, and there were just like people. I felt like we were in a line at Disney World. So yes,
Yeah.
it is definitely getting popular. That's a pretty popular trail in the Finger Lakes. And then I'm gonna butcher this. Is it Taghannock?
I think you say it Taganic.
Taganic. Okay.
It's
Thank you
tough.
for that.
It's a funny spelling. So,
Yes.
and there's like no one even really is sure of the origin of the word, but Taganic
Okay.
State Park.
That one also is a very popular waterfall to see, or the park itself is popular to go to in the Finger Lakes.
Yeah.
But can you recommend any other areas in the Finger Lakes that maybe people aren't as familiar with that you would say, oh no, you should definitely go here? Yes, Watkins Glen, but go here also.
Yeah, I love Buttermilk State Falls, which is in Ithaca, is one of my top favorites. And right near there is Robert Treeman State Park. So both of those you can do in one day if you're up for it. They're a couple of miles each. I think Treeman's like maybe a little longer, but they also have gorge trails with lots of waterfalls. So that's an easy way to see a lot of waterfalls. I think that like some of the land preserves and state forests and land trusts in the area are kind of underrated. There's a lot of them that have their own amazing views, waterfalls, lake access. So it's definitely worth looking into and doing a little research to hit some of those in the Finger Lakes area, especially.
We did Buttermilk Falls when we were up
Yeah.
there that couple years ago, and I agree. I actually had more fun there than I did at Watkins Glen because it was less crowded,
Yes.
but it was also I felt like you could get closer to the water, so it was just more
Hmm.
intimate in that respect. It was really
Yeah.
beautiful.
That's been my favorite for years. I'm always scared it's gonna get overutilized. I'm like, I want people to know about it and enjoy it, but it's not too much. Don't turn it into another walk-in one.
The way Watkins Glen is designed, especially how they have the shuttle, it is more for people like for the everyday person. And I think Buttermilk might more attract like a hiker versus just
Mhm.
someone who's visiting the area. Don't you think?
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think somewhat. And I think a lot of people just go because they've seen a viral video of Watkins Glen online. So they're not really looking at hikes in the area as much as they just want to see something that has gone viral,
Yeah.
which is okay. I'm glad people are enjoying it. I also always recommend Letchworth State Park. I'm not really sure if it's technically Finger Lakes or Western New York, but Letchworth is a great one for even if
Yeah.
you're not a hiker, like you can just drive to the main two main waterfalls there. So it's really and it's so beautiful.
I haven't been to Letchworth yet. That is on my bucket list for sure. Everything I see from there, it looks beautiful. Do you have a favorite trail there? Have you done a lot of the trails there or?
There are other trails to do other than the main trail that goes along the gorge, but that's the one I've done. Especially in the winter, they close the road down, so
Yeah.
you can only access areas of the park. Like you can get to the two main waterfalls, that area, but the rest of it's closed off unless you go on foot. So I think I went twice this winter just to get outside and enjoy the views.
That's so nice to be able to do that. New York is known for kind of shutting down trails in the wintertime, right? The especially in the Finger Lakes like Watkins Glen and all those gorge trails. What is the normal time period that you can go to those trails?
They usually open up around Memorial Day.
Okay.
So they do something, I think it's called scaling, where they send people in to check the walls for loose rock. And once they finish that and try and knock off anything that might fall on people below, then they open it up. But it's also kind of has to wait until after the freezing thawing ends. Some of them will open a week or two before Memorial Day if they can.
And then when do they usually close the trails then? Is that in October?
End of October usually.
Do you know like what the criteria they use to why they close the trail in October? Is it because it's starting to get cold and icy?
Yeah, and I think they stopped staffing because they're prepared to close down for any, like, once it starts to frost or whatever else, and they have any freezing that can cause instability in the gorge walls. So I think that's the criteria plus icing on the pathways. Oh, you can always check like their websites to see if they're open and give them a call. I always recommend doing that before going. I think it was, yeah, I think it was last year. Watkins had like a little landslide and some people like got trapped behind the everyone was okay, but just they are geologically
I mean,
susceptible.
rocks might
Yeah.
fall. Yeah,
Yeah, so
definitely.
it's always smart to be alert when you're there anyway.
Is there a favorite season that you like hiking in New York State? I mean, are you a winter hiker or are you or what's your favorite season, I guess, to hike in the state?
I hike in winter.
I love winter
um,
hiking. Yeah.
I wish I did. I've done snowshoeing in the Adirondacks and stuff because in the high peaks, if it's 6 inches or more of snow, you're legally required to have snowshoes.
Okay.
So yeah, so that's something I've gotten into in the winter, but I don't love the cold. So my favorite is summer, and I think it's just everything's green, it's alive. Certainly the bugs and the heat can pose challenges.
Definitely.
But
Definitely.
I'm a warm weather person. I love when everything's green and the birds are singing and then after that I would say autumn, especially when the leaves are starting to peak is of course just gorgeous in New York State.
You feel like I'm asking you to choose your like a favorite child, but like is there a trail that
Oh.
like if someone's coming to New York and you're like, "Okay, go to this area and do this hike. This is what you should do."
I'm always first and foremost like, gotta go to the Adirondacks, gotta experience that. That's my favorite. And second to that, I would say probably the Finger Lakes region. Those are my two favorite regions and where my favorite trails are. Um, like in the Adirondacks, there's some smaller trails I've redone. Like, I guess it's not a smaller trail, and you have to have a reservation with the Adirondack Mountain Reserve to do it. But Indian Head is another one of those super popular hikes that I do think it is amazing in person. Getting a reservation to the reserve, especially in the autumn, can be super challenging though.
How about outside of New York? Have you been hiking outside of New York? Have you explored more of like, the Northeast or even across the country?
Yeah, I've done a little hiking in New Hampshire. Not a ton, but a couple of times I took trips, like road trips there in the autumn, and I really enjoyed that. But my thing is if I can take a national park trip and just hike, that's my idea of a vacation now.
Yeah.
So
It's kind of what I've turned into as well.
yeah, it's best, right?
It's so
Um,
like well, not even just national parks, but just anywhere where I know
yeah.
there's great hiking, or interesting features. Like, 2 summers ago, I dragged the kids down to Kentucky so we could do the Red River Gorge with all the arches down
Yeah,
there, which was
yeah,
incredible. So even though it's not a national park, it's still
right.
the same idea. Like,
Yes.
oh, let's go somewhere beautiful in this country
Yeah.
and explore it. Yeah.
It definitely doesn't have to be a national park. I think I sort of have started there for the most part just because of an interest in seeing certain ones. And of those, I would say I absolutely loved Washington. I loved Olympic and Rainier. Those were just amazing. California is amazing. And I went to Colorado last summer to Rocky Mountain National Park and I fell in love with it. I was like, if I didn't live in New York, this is where I'd want to live.
There's a reason a lot of people transplant to Colorado for sure.
Yes. Yeah. It's just beautiful. And even though I have never felt so out of shape because of the elevation, I was like panting and I'm like doing the thing where you like push up on your leg while I'm like trying to like drag myself up any elevation. I think I did Mount Ida was like my last day. So I'd already been there a week, but I wasn't very adjusted. And I just it ends at I think almost 13,000 feet. It's not quite 13. You're not even gaining that much. Maybe it's a couple thousand feet of elevation gain. But just because of the difference in the air quality, I was struggling.
My sister went to school in Colorado. She went to college in Colorado.
Oh,
So
okay.
we have, as a child, I'd been out there a bunch of times and hiked out there. And we were at one point, we were above the tree line, and my dad and I are like, we can't go on. We're done. And my sister, my
Yeah.
mom are like, see ya. Okay, bye. We'll come back for you. But so I know what you're talking about because you don't realize how bad it hits you until it hits you, and then you're like, oh, okay, they're not joking out here.
Yeah, definitely not. I know some people get elevation sickness. That didn't happen to me, thankfully. I'm hoping to go visit my brother at the end of summer, and he is in Mexico City.
Oh,
So
wow.
he's like, "Well, we could go hiking, but I'm not sure how you'll do." And I was like, "I want to be honest, I'm not sure how I'll do either, but I'll give it a
But
try."
do it for sure. Oh my goodness,
Right.
what a gorgeous place to go hiking. So we talked about, where you like hiking outside of New York and inside New York. Do you have any bucket list places? Any besides obviously you're going to Mexico City, maybe hike there, but is there anywhere else on your list that, inside the country, outside the country that you're like, I can't wait, I'm gonna plan a trip there?
I have not been to Yellowstone yet or Grand Tetons. Grand Tetons and Glacier are super high on my list. I'd really love to go to Banff someday. That's really high on my list. The Dolomites in Italy, I'd love to go to. So I feel like my list just always gets longer because I'm always seeing another place. And I'm like,
Never
"I wanna
ending.
get there." Yeah.
Never ending. Not enough time.
Yeah. I'm hoping to get to North Cascades in Washington this year. We'll see what happens, but that's my hope.
So I've been asking everybody this. If you had to pick one kind of hike for the rest of your life, would you hike to waterfalls or would you hike to views?
I'm a mountains
Mountains.
girl.
Okay.
I
Okay.
love any mountain hike with a
Okay.
view. I'm all about it.
All right. All right. Well,
Waterfalls are great, but I feel like you just can't beat mountain views.
gotcha. Well, it makes sense. I know you love the Adirondacks, so that makes sense then. Well, I do appreciate your time and answering some questions about hiking in New York with me. I want to let everyone know, where can they find you? Where I know you're on social media, so you want to give them your handle?
Yeah, it's Elizabeth with an S instead of a Z underscore out hiking.
I love following your feed and living vicariously through you, because I need to get back up there and hike up in the Finger Lakes again, and definitely check out Letchworth and the Adirondacks. So
Yeah. And I just have to keep finding stuff to do in Pennsylvania because my boyfriend's family's from there. So
there you go. Yeah,
we
there's a
did work
lot.
at
I mean,
Glen, but
yeah,
that's about all I've done so far.
we have a nice set of trails. I can't say they're as great as New York's, but they are pretty good considering. All right, Elizabeth. Well, thank you so much again, and yeah, thanks for being here. Hi, Alysha. Thank you so much for joining me today to talk about hiking in New York. I'm so excited for that. I know right now, I believe you do live in New York. Is that correct?
Yes. Yep.
Where in the state are you located?
So I am really just outside of Albany. Like, I work in
Oh,
Albany and we live like 20 minutes from Albany.
okay. So you are close to a lot of great hiking then. It's very close to you.
Yeah. Yeah. We, like, my husband and I, because he's on all of my adventures with me, but like we say all the time, we wouldn't really live anywhere else because we're so close to everything.
Yeah, you have like what, like 2 hours, 3 hours maybe to like some of the best hiking.
Yeah, yeah, 2 hours to the Adirondacks, hour to the Catskills. Even here in the Capital Region, we have so many, like, wonderful places to visit.
I'm jealous. I'm jealous for that. I do
Yeah.
love hiking in New York. I definitely do. So have you lived in New York then your whole life, or?
Yeah, yeah, other than college, yeah, born and raised here, and then even I went to college in Rhode Island, but kind of once I even got to Rhode Island, I was like, "Yeah, I need to go back to New York." Like, the population density in Rhode Island is too much, and I love Rhode Island. Visit all the time, but there weren't enough natural spaces for me.
Well, it's not that big of a state either, so
Yeah,
in their
very small.
defense. But no, I totally understand. I get it. I get it.
Yeah,
No, to be close to like growing up where you were and being so close to so many different places,
yeah,
and even close to the city too, then you're not that far. So you
yeah.
have a lot of options for you. Now, did you grow up hiking? Was that something that you did as like a child, or is that something you got into as an adult?
So, yes and no. We did used to camp. We had a pop-up camper. It was really just me and my parents. My brother would come sometimes. He was 10 years older than me.
Oh wow.
So
Okay.
yeah, so big age gap there. So, we didn't get the chance to vacation together for very long, really, because he was too cool and, moved
Mhm.
on.
He was in
Um,
school. He was in college, and
yeah,
then being
yeah.
an adult, right? Yeah.
Right. But we did do some camping, and I remember going to like state parks. I remember going to Letchworth as a kid, which is, probably one of the most amazing parks in the state. And just going to other
Yeah.
like lakes and stuff. And I do know we would do like little hiking, but we never went out of our way to go hiking. Yeah, so I just really remember from those trips, and then I really got into it as probably in the last like 6 7 years. One of the biggest hiking challenges is in New York is hiking the 46 highest peaks.
Yes.
So I really kind of just decided one day that that was something I wanted to do, and it kind of took off from there.
Well, that's really cool. Now, where are you on that goal then of the 46 peaks?
So we're at 18, even though we've been working
Okay.
on them for like
No, but that's still
7 years.
good. No,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
good.
no, it is. There was, one summer where I think we hiked 9 in one summer, and then, had a baby and everything. So we haven't been back in a little bit.
And I see you taking the baby out on the trail too, so that's fun.
Yeah, yeah, he's always with us, and the carriers that are available to us nowadays make it very convenient.
Definitely. Even like, I mean, my son's 15, and I'm like looking, even my daughter who's 12, like the differences between what was available to us 10 years ago, 15 years ago
Yeah,
to now is drastic. So
yeah,
that's awesome that you're able to do that, and they have the equipment for you to be able to do that.
right.
So you've lived in New York, you grew up, you've camped all over the state, then, you've visited all these places. What is your favorite area of the state? Is that a tough question?
It is. It's really tough. And like to think about it, I'm like, oh, is it this one, or is it the Finger Lakes, or is it the
Or like, does it
Adirondacks?
depend on the time of year? Like, oh, in the summer, like this is the place I love to go to, but in the fall, this is where I go.
Right, right. And like they all are so good in their own way, even in each season. I would have to say though, the Adirondacks, and I actually thinking about we went on a hike yesterday in the, really the most southern part of the Adirondacks in Lake George, and just being there and thinking about that, like I love the wildness of the Adirondacks. Like, and that's what really like I love the Finger Lakes. If you want waterfalls, like the Finger Lakes are the place to be. Um, but I love the wildness of the Adirondacks. Still some of like really amazing waterfalls, but you can hike the highest peaks. You can hike some really awesome low peaks. You can see all these lakes. You can do flat trails that are beautiful. So it really is the Adirondacks.
So I know we touched on how like the Finger Lakes with the waterfalls and everything, and a lot of people know about Watkins Glen, and they even know about like Letchworth State Park, which is west of the Finger Lakes, or I guess is that still technically in the Finger Lakes
I
region?
think it's still technically, but it's as far west
West
as
as you
you
can be,
go
yeah.
for it. Yeah.
But do you have, now you mentioned Adirondack waterfalls then. So do you have any other trails, like waterfall trails in New York that you would be like, oh, you guys should check this one out. Like this is a must do.
Yeah, and actually one I posted pretty recently, Shelving Rock Falls, which is
Okay.
just outside of Lake George. Really, really easy to get to. I don't even know if it's a half mile one
Oh,
way.
wow. Okay.
That's super easy to get to.
Would you say that trail is accessible? Like could you take like a stroller or wheelchair on the trail, or is it still pretty
No,
rocky?
it's still
Okay.
it's still like rooty and rocky,
Okay. I
definitely.
wasn't sure. Just checking.
Yeah, yeah, no, that very good question. So I would say like Shelving Rock Falls there. There's actually a bunch of waterfalls in the Adirondacks we haven't hit yet. That there's like Salmon River Falls. There's a Buttermilk Falls pretty much wherever you go in the state.
There's
Like
like 5 buttermilk falls in Pennsylvania.
yeah, I don't know why,
I'm like,
but
why do we have so many buttermilk
right,
falls?
it's just for some reason that's the name we choose. But
It's
okay.
it's just a common name.
I will say, even in the capital region, though, like we have some really good waterfalls here. One of my favorite trails, and I plug this as often as I can, and I live super close. I could go after work any night I want to. Is Thatcher Park, the Indian Ladder Trail. You're walking like below these like shale cliffs, and there's two waterfalls that you can see. You really have to go after it rains because they do dry up pretty quick. But if you go after it rains, like they're incredible. Like, and you can walk behind both of them, and you're like in these cliffs, and it's the best.
That sounds amazing. All right, definitely gonna put that one on my list. When I
Yeah.
when I do these interviews, my list just grows and grows and
Yeah.
grows. How about like a view hike, like anywhere that just gives like the most spectacular view,
Um,
or a couple of them that you can think of?
yeah, yeah. So obviously in the Adirondacks, my two, and these are both very, very popular hikes. You've probably heard of them, but Mount Joe and then
Okay.
Indian Head in the Adirondacks. They really are. They're incredibly popular for a reason. They are really amazing. There is a permit required for Indian Head, and it's pretty difficult to get actually.
Oh,
Because there's no cost associated, but they like
they
sell
limit
out.
how many people are on the
Yeah,
trail. That's nice though.
It does. It like really minimizes crowds, which is why they put it in place. It makes parking a non-issue. So some of the high peaks trails are actually out of that same area. So we love it because then we don't have to arrive at a trailhead at 3 a.m. when it's 2 hours away from our house, just to get a parking spot. When we reserve there, we know we're guaranteed a spot. Unfortunately, we only have 2 high peaks left out of that spot. So we're kind of like hanging on to them. But yeah, Indian Head, if you can get a permit, absolutely incredible. And then Mount Joe, which there's just a cost to park there. It can be difficult to get a parking spot because it's so busy. But we went there on a weekday in the fall last year, and that was amazing. One of the best hikes.
That's good to know. Now, would either of them be good for like a sunset or a sunrise hike, do you think?
Yeah, probably either one. Indian Head overlooks like the beautiful like Ausable Lake. So you have this like lake view. And then Mount Joe, you overlook like Heart Lake.
Okay.
Which again is part of the what's called the Adirondack Lodge, which you can actually camp there too and book rooms there. But yeah, both would be good for sunrise and sunset. We don't usually do sunrise and sunset just because it's not conducive to our lifestyle
No, I'm not.
with a 1-year-old.
Sunset, maybe sunrise. I'm not getting up that early. No.
Yeah.
No, not with a baby.
Yeah, not with the baby. I will say another really good one that isn't as often talked about is Bear Den.
Okay.
That's up in the Adirondacks, and that overlooks Whiteface.
Mm.
We did that in the fall too. And I just think that one's really awesome. It just gives you this really neat mountain views of Whiteface.
That sounds nice though. And I
Yeah.
like a little like, oh, maybe you don't know about this one. So
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
also thank you. Wait, can you say is it Ausable? Is that what it is? Is that how you say
Ausable
that?
Lakes.
Okay. I've never heard it spoken out loud, so in my head it was Ausible. So thank you for
Oh,
telling me
yeah.
how to pronounce it.
Yep.
I'm always, they always say, the outsiders when they're not saying it right. So
I
now
can't
maybe
imagine what I butcher in other states.
we were just down in Virginia, and there's a town there. It's Staunton, right? So I was calling it Staunton, and then the guy, with the places, he's like Stanton, and he goes, the
Oh.
outsiders call it Staunton, and I'm like, oh, well, now I know, and now I won't sound like an outsider.
Yeah.
There you go.
I would have said it Staunton too.
I know, because there's a U in there. Why don't you?
Right.
But whatever, they say it the way they say it. All right. So if you had some hikes that I know you just gave a couple hikes too. So if you feel like it's hard to add more to that, that's fine. But maybe like in each region that you've hiked in. So, Adirondacks, I know you just gave a couple there, the Catskills, the Finger Lakes, maybe Western New York. Do you have like a couple of favorite hikes in each of those places?
Oh, definitely. One more to add to the Adirondacks that I thought of too is I might not have the name correctly because there's an Owl's Head and there's Owl's Head Lookout, and they are two very different trails. I think it's Owl's Head Lookout. I think it's like 4 miles. That one is also incredible in the fall. Really amazing views. Like rivals Indian Head, I think.
Let's be honest. Is there a bad fall hike in New York though?
There isn't. I actually don't know why New England gets all the credit because
no, New York is gorgeous. Yeah,
we have it just as good here.
Yes, definitely.
Let's see. Western New York, very, very popular is Eternal Flame Falls. That is very cool. Everyone should see that at least once.
I mean, it's so neat. I haven't been there, but just the concept of it is just so fascinating to me.
Yeah,
like there's just this flame that just keeps burning.
Yeah, it's so cool. And then kind of like Central New York, again, pretty popular, but I think must-sees, Chimney Bluff State Park and Green Lake State Park, both really amazing. Pretty easy trails too. Not accessible, but they are very easy. Green Lakes is totally flat, and Chimney Bluffs there's not much elevation there really.
But that's good. That's good for people to know, who enjoy hiking, who maybe just can't, deal with elevation, or they have young kids with them or things like that. So that's good.
And those are the trails I prefer anyway.
Me, I like scrambling. I'm like, if all 4 limbs aren't doing something, no.
Oh, no way. Not for me. We do it in the high peaks, but another reason it takes us so long to get through them. So we're like, oh, do we have the mental capacity to do this right now?
Especially with like a kid on your back, though. I mean, that's just extra effort.
Yeah. I think he'll stay home for any of those.
Yeah.
But yeah, Catskills, again, Catterskill Falls.
Yeah, we've done that. Yeah.
Very, very popular, but great. Less popular, Plattekill Falls is also really cool.
I've heard of. Yes, we just didn't get there. That's good to know.
Yeah, that's a great one. Right across from Plattekill Falls too. trailhead is for Huckleberry Point. Those are some really neat views. And then like lower Hudson Valley, I can't speak highly enough about Minnewaska State Park. Love that
Yes.
state park.
We did Sam's Point and the ice caves at
Yes.
one point. Like, that was fun. That was a good time.
Yeah, we didn't do the ice caves because they hadn't opened yet. It was March
Okay.
when we went a couple years
Yeah,
ago,
that's
but
still a
like
little
we
early,
still
yeah.
loved the hike.
Yeah.
Yeah, that Awasting Falls. We hiked the carriage road around the lake in the fall last year. That's been one of my all-time favorite hikes. I think the lake is
Uh-huh.
just beautiful. There's Gertrude Snow. So like that whole park, yeah, I mean, you could spend a week there hiking everything.
Now, what's your favorite season then to hike in the state? Do you prefer fall? Is that your go-to?
Definitely fall. I It's hard for me to actually get out in the summer because the bugs and like the
Yes.
heat are just
Honestly, I agree. Hiking in the summer is my least favorite. I will
yeah,
go out in 20 degrees before I go out in 80 degrees is how I
right.
feel.
Right. No, I think we do the same thing. I think we're out more in the winter than we
Yeah.
are in the summer because it's just honestly just the bugs and the exertion with the heat. It's just a lot.
The heat kills you. If you can't get out early, then it's like, you don't want to go out midday. Not in
Yeah.
the summertime.
Oh
No.
yeah, no. And then the sun just baking on you at the summit, like
And
it's
the
too
humidity too. I mean, I don't know what it's like, elsewhere in the summer, but like here in the Northeast, the humidity is just it kills you. It
yeah.
kills you in the
Yeah.
summertime.
I
You
will
can't.
say, if you do the Adirondacks, and this is again not always the case, but the Adirondacks can be like quite a bit cooler. So that's nice. Like we actually yesterday when we were in Lake George, it was a 15-degree difference. We're only an hour from Lake George, but it was still like a 15-degree difference when we were up there, like by the lake, compared to at home.
Even like I was just saying, we were just in Virginia, but because we were in a higher elevation in Virginia, even though we were much more south than we were, it was actually cooler there than it was
Oh
here at
yeah,
home. When
yeah,
we
it
got
makes
home,
a
we're
huge
like, ugh.
difference.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So like, yeah, just the elevation is just gonna make it a little nicer for you, that change in the elevation. But 15 degrees, that's nice. That's a
yeah.
nice.
It's not usually that much. Like we were pretty surprised, but
Yeah.
it was nice. We're like,
Like,
wow,
oh, maybe I should have brought my sweatshirt.
yeah, like we should have stayed up there a little longer.
That's so nice. But fall then, is that what you said? Or do you
Yeah,
prefer winter?
no, it is fall because like the
Yeah.
temperature is perfect. Because
Yeah.
in the winter you do have to put on like I mean it gets really cold here in the winter, like negatives easily. Um, so we like it is a lot of layers. So yeah, fall is like
Fall is the best
perfect.
time.
Like and like the colors really are just as good as New England's. Like they're totally stunning. They're vibrant. Like you have all these lake views that you can see with the fall colors. Um, yeah, it's the best.
You're like, forget Vermont, come to New York. It's more beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't like crowded trails.
No,
So
no. So don't come to New York.
yeah,
Never mind.
maybe
Go to
stick
Vermont.
to Vermont.
So outside of New York, though, I assume that you've gone hiking elsewhere in the country. Do you have any kind of favorite places that you've been outside?
Yeah, I would say Virginia and North Carolina. Virginia just because it's a little more accessible for us, in terms of like closeness to New York. So we've been to Shenandoah a couple times, which is obviously a wonderful place to hike. Um, and then we really fell in love with North Carolina, specifically along the Blue Ridge Parkway. We did a bunch of hikes along there, and like North Carolina really is incredible. Like,
I don't think people realize, I mean, I guess they know like the mountains like Asheville and stuff like that, but they don't realize like it's the mountains. Like the Great Smoky
yeah,
Mountains is North Carolina.
right, right. Yeah, yeah, like hiking in the Smokies and hiking around Asheville, and they have
Yeah.
incredible waterfalls. They have incredible mountain views. So I would love to spend more time down there.
We did Grandfather Mountain. We did the trail
Oh,
there, and that is so fun, and the kids actually want to they want to go back to it. And there's like ladders you have to climb and like ropes you're holding on to. I mean, it's a technical trail, but it's a lot of fun. So, yeah, no, I need to explore more of Western North Carolina. We haven't had too much time down there. I agree because it's not as accessible. It's
yeah.
not as close.
Because we wanted to do Grandfather Mountain, but last time we were there, I was pregnant. So my husband's like, "We're not doing Grandfather Mountain."
Yeah, no, I can't imagine doing that pregnant. I mean, it's doable. I mean, the kids were
Yeah,
young when they did it. I think my daughter was like 8 or something when she did it. So it's doable, but no, I wouldn't
yeah,
want to do it pregnant. No.
yeah.
So next time.
Yeah, hopefully.
But I just, I appreciate you coming on and sharing all of your knowledge of New York. And I know you are online, so if you could share with the audience where they can find you and where they can follow along with your adventures hiking in New York.
Yeah, so I'm on Instagram at Alysha W Explores.
And then do you have a website too, or is everything kind of linked there on your Instagram?
It is linked there. There is a blog that exists. I always say I'm gonna update it and stay on top of it, and then
That's fine. It's
but it
tough
is
to
there and
do.
linked.
It's a lot of work to update, so
It is a
I
lot.
don't blame you. I don't blame you. But they'll find you on Instagram, so that's good. I've been asking everybody this, and I feel like you are the perfect person to ask this. But if you had to do one kind of trail for the rest of your life, would you choose a waterfall kind of trails, or would you choose trails to overlooks to a view?
I have to say waterfalls
Okay.
because at the end of the day, if it's easier to get there and I'm not climbing up a huge mountain with elevation gain, that's what I'm going to choose.
No, it's interesting too, like the different answers that I'm getting and the reasonings behind them, but I
Yeah.
like your reasoning.
Yep.
You're like, I like hiking, but I'm not climbing up anything.
Yeah. Yeah. If I can get there easier way, I'm going to take the easier way. I'm going to
I
be
like it.
honest.
I like it. I know, and I do love a waterfall, and a lot of times, yeah, waterfall trails because if you're going to the bottom, they're kind of already
Yeah.
lower, so they're not too
Yeah.
hard. They're not too bad. So, but again, Alysha, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. Your wealth of information, and I'm sure I'd love to have you on again because I also saw that you're a member of the 52 hike club.
Yeah.
Is that what that is?
Yeah. The 52 hike challenge.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
52
Yeah.
hike
So,
challenge. And I honestly, I don't know enough about that. So I might have to have you on again so you can tell me and the audience more
yeah.
about
Yeah.
it.
I'd love to talk about it. I've been an ambassador for years. So
Well, thanks again and have a
thank
wonderful
you.
day.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you for listening to Her Side of the Trail. There are more hiker stories to hear, so please follow along to hear them as soon as they come out. And if you like this episode, please share it with your friends or on social media. Her Side of the Trail is hosted and produced by me, Lauren Stites. I can't wait to share another hiker story with you next episode.